Here's what's new on CBS2.com.
Tonight, the outgoing head of the Republican Party addresses convention delegates for the last time as president. For the first time, they'll hear from a former Democratic nominee, and overshadowing it all, questions about John McCain's running mate.
Campaign 08, the Republican National Convention. From St. Paul, Minnesota, here is Katie Couric.
And good evening, everyone, from the Xcel Energy Center, home of the Minnesota Wild. But sorry, no hockey tonight. The Republicans have taken over. And a short time ago, the man who's been the GOP standard bearer the past 8 years addressed this convention. President Bush was scheduled to be here yesterday, but canceled to monitor Hurricane Gustav. Tonight, he spoke to the delegates by video hookup from the White House, introduced by First Lady Laura Bush.
In 2 months, the American people will choose a new president. No one knows what the job requires better than the man who holds this office. Ladies and gentlemen, my husband and the President of the United States, George W. Bush.
Thank you, Laura. And good evening. As you know, my duties have me here in Washington tonight to oversee the federal government's efforts to help citizens recover from Hurricane Gustav. We are thankful that the damage in New Orleans and across the Gulf Coast was less than many had feared. I commend the governors of Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas for their sure-handed response and seamless coordination with the federal government. I thank all the wonderful volunteers who stepped forward to help their brothers and sisters in need. We know that there is still risk even after the storm has passed. So I ask citizens across the region to listen closely to local officials and follow their instructions before returning to their homes. All of us are keeping the people of the Gulf Coast in our thoughts and our prayers. As you gather tonight in St. Paul, I want to share some thoughts about our nominee, a great American, and the next President of the United States, John McCain. Before I do so, I want to say hello to 2 people in the hall with you tonight. I could have no finer examples of character, decency, and integrity than my mom and dad, and I love you a lot. I know what it takes to be president. In these past 8 years, I've sat at the Resolute desk and reviewed the daily intelligence briefings, the threat assessments, and the reports from our commanders on the front lines. I've stood in the ruins of buildings knocked down by killers and promised the survivors I would never let them down. I know the hard choices that fall solely to a president. John McCain's life has prepared him to make those choices. He is ready to lead this nation. From the day of his commissioning, John McCain was a respected naval officer who made decisions on which the lives of others depended. As an elected public servant, he earned the respect of colleagues in both parties as a man to follow when there's a tough call to make. John McCain's life is a story of service above self. 40 years ago, in an enemy prison camp, Lieutenant Commander McCain was offered release ahead of others who had been held longer. His wounds were so severe that anyone would have understood if he'd accepted. John refused. For that selfless decision, he suffered nearly 5 more years of beatings and isolation. When he was released, his arms had been broken, but not his honor. Fellow citizens, if the Hanoi Hilton could not break John McCain's resolve to do what is best for his country, you can be sure the angry left never will. As the father of 7 sons and daughters, John has the heart of a protector. He and his wonderful wife, Cindy, are adoptive parents. John is a leader who knows that human life is fragile, that human life is precious, that human life must be defended. We have seen John McCain's commitment to principle in our nation's capital. John is a steadfast opponent of wasteful spending. As president, he will stand up to the high tax crowd in Congress and make the tax relief permanent. He will invest in the energy technologies of tomorrow and lift the ban on drilling for America's offshore oil today. John is an independent man who thinks for himself. He's not afraid to tell you when he disagrees. Believe me, I know. No matter what the issue, this man is honest and speaks straight from the heart. Last year, John McCain's independence and character helped change history. The Democrats had taken control of Congress and were threatening to cut off funds for our troops. In the face of calls for retreat, I ordered a surge of forces into Iraq. Many in Congress said it had no chance of working. Yet one senator above all had faith in our troops and the importance of their mission, and that was John McCain. Some told him that his early and consistent call for more troops would put his presidential campaign at risk. He told them he would rather lose an election than see his country lose a war. That is the kind of courage and vision we need in our next commander-in-chief. My fellow citizens, we live in a dangerous world. And we need a president who understands the lessons of September the 11th, 2001. That to protect America, we must stay on the offense, stop attacks before they happen, and not wait to be hit again. The man we need is John McCain. When he takes office next January, John will have an outstanding leader at his side. America will have a strong and principled vice president in the governor of the great state of Alaska, Sarah Palin. In the time the Oval Office has been in my trust, I've kept near my desk reminders of America's character, including a painting of a West Texas mountain lit by the morning sun. It reminds me that Americans have always lived on the sunrise side of the mountain. We are a nation that looks to the new day with confidence and optimism. And I'm optimistic about our future because I believe in the goodness and wisdom of the American people. I'm optimistic because I have faith in freedom's power to lift up all of God's children and lead this world to a future of peace. And I'm optimistic about something else. When the debates have ended and all the ads have run and it is time to vote, Americans will look closely at the judgment, the experience, and the policies of the candidates, and they will cast their ballots for the McCain-Palin ticket. While I'm not with you in the Twin Cities on this wonderful night for our party, with Laura Bush speaking, you have clearly traded up. I am so proud the American people have come to know her gracious presence, her determined spirit, and her loving heart. Laura has been a fantastic First Lady. Thank you, Laura. And thanks to all of you in the hall tonight. God bless you, and God bless America.
Dan Bartlett used to work for President Bush. His job was getting the president's message out, but he now works for us as an analyst. Dan, I'm just curious from a personal note or point of view. I know you've known President Bush almost your entire adult life. How is he feeling during these final days in office?
Well, quite emotional, quite frankly. This has been an historic 8 years, and for him to stand there tonight and use his last major political speech to endorse heartily a one-time political rival really kind of squares the circle in this odyssey we've been on for the last 14 years when it started way back when he ran for governor. So quite a moment here. You can tell here in the auditorium that he's got a lot of support. He could have used that support to toot his own horn, but instead he tried to take the qualities he's learned as president and say that's why he thinks John McCain should be the next president of the United States, Katie. Quite an emotional moment for me personally, having been along on that journey for many years. So as you can see here, a lot of people appreciate what he had to say tonight.
We heard White House Press Secretary Dana Perino say he would have liked to have been here. Were there a lot of backroom negotiations, Dan, in terms of the pros and cons of his presence at this convention, given the Democrats are trying to tie John McCain so closely with President Bush?
Well, Katie, I think he strategically had already made that decision because remember, he was going to be here Monday night. Mother Nature intruded. I think they felt now, both sides, that with what's happening on the Gulf Coast, with the storms threatening the East Coast, that it probably didn't make political sense or policy sense for him to be here. But of course, these are a lot of his supporters, people he's been in the trenches with in politics for 8 years. He would have loved to personally thank them for their service to him politically and to our country. So in that respect, sure, he would have rather been here.
He spoke initially of the federal response and the general response to Hurricane Gustav in New Orleans. And I'm just wondering, Dan, if he had one do-over, do you think it would be the federal response to Hurricane Katrina?
Well, it would be up near the top of the list. But the fundamental part about being president is you don't get do-overs. They're very difficult decisions, both domestically and foreign policy. Obviously, at all levels of government, things could have been done differently with regards to Katrina. But he's not a type of man who looks backwards. He's looking forwards, and forward-looking right now is all about John McCain. Katie?
All right, Dan Bartlett. Dan, thank you. This is John McCain's convention, but so far most of the talk around here has been about his running mate, Governor Sarah Palin of Alaska. Until 4 days ago, most Americans had never heard of her, but since then, it's been one revelation after another. Nancy Cordes is following that story. And Nancy, where is Sarah Palin?
Well, Katie, we presume she's at her hotel. Since she arrived here 2 days ago, she has canceled all of her public events. The Republicans had planned to use this convention to kind of introduce her to the American public. Instead, she seems to be in seclusion. The McCain campaign released this picture of Governor Palin meeting with the First Lady and Mrs. McCain in private today. The first we've seen of her since questions erupted over her 17-year-old daughter's pregnancy, her firing of Alaska's public safety commissioner, and her role, if any, in Alaska's Independence Party, a controversial states' rights group. All the questions drew this terse reaction from McCain today.
My vetting process was completely thorough, and I'm grateful for the results.
And prompted his campaign to release Palin's voter registration records to show she's a lifelong Republican with no connection to the Independence Party.
The reason that some Republicans are nervous now is they're not sure, is there anything else? Are there going to be any other rude surprises?
There won't, claims a senior official close to the vetting process, who says Palin was among 21 potential VP picks. The campaign began vetting as early as May. The list was eventually narrowed down to 6, who underwent even more scrutiny. Hoping to quiet the critics, Republicans are giving media training to Alaska delegates, instructing them to respond to questions about the Palin pregnancy with comments like, "This is a very personal matter for the family."
It's a personal matter, and they're a family. They're the traditional, average American family.
Those delegates sticking very closely to the script. The campaign says that Sarah Palin has been hard at work on her acceptance speech that she is supposed to give to this convention. We expect that speech will take place tomorrow night, Katie.
All right, Nancy Cordes, thanks very much, Nancy. Steve Schmidt is the chief strategist for the McCain-Palin campaign. Lindsey Graham, the senior senator from the state of South Carolina, a very close friend of John McCain's. Hi, gentlemen. Good evening.
Great
Nice to see you both. Thanks
Hello,
for coming
hello.
by. Steve, let me start with you. I want to get your reaction to something Karl Rove told the Washington Post today. He said Sarah Palin was, quote, not a governing decision, but a campaign decision. What's your reaction?
Carl's wrong. She's an exceptional governor, a reform governor in Alaska. 50 states in this country. She is the most popular governor of any state. Her approval ratings are 80%. When you look at the fact that Congress's approval rating is 9% and 85% of the country thinks we're going in the wrong direction, she's doing something right up there. She's fought the oil companies. She's building a huge natural gas pipeline. She's taken on the corrupt special interests. She's returned taxpayer money back to families in Alaska. She is the future of the Republican Party. She's going to be an outstanding vice president. The simple fact here is that this is a mom of 5 children. There's been a private family matter, and she's been under vicious assault and attack from the angry left. And we've seen that today. There's a lot of allegations and rumors, almost all of them untrue. The other side's throwing everything but the kitchen sink at her to see what sticks. American people are going to love her when they meet her. She's an exceptional woman, an accomplished woman, and by any objective measurement, Katie, she is more experienced and more accomplished than Senator Obama. She's a woman who manages billion-dollar budgets. She makes decisions every day. One of the most exceptional governors in the country.
So you don't think that Barack Obama's experience as a state senator for 8 years and then a U.S. senator for 4 years, how can you compare those two?
Well, Barack Obama was in the United States Senate for 1 year before he took off, and Senator Graham will talk about that, to run for president full time. When he was a state senator, he had no executive decisions, and 130 times, tough votes, he took a pass and voted president. Leaders have to make decisions. Governor Palin makes decisions.
So do you think, Senator Graham, governors are better leaders than senators?
I think having been in the Senate, probably. Governor Palin, I think, really complements what John wants to do. John has looked at Washington as broken, and it's not something new to him. I was one of 14 senators who voted against the bridge to nowhere. I was scared because I knew what was going to come my way. The governor of Alaska said no to the project.
But didn't she initially say yes to the project? So doesn't that kind of drive a hole into that argument?
I think I have earmarked, I confess, on national TV. This has been a journey for Alaska and the country. She's seen what's happened in Alaska. John's seen what has happened in Washington. If you wanted to pick somebody that had a record of change and would tell their own party things they didn't want to hear, she's the best pick John could have made. She's a lot like John.
But she did have a change of heart on that bridge to nowhere, correct? I mean, let's just set the record straight.
She did. And let's be clear, she killed it at the end of the day. It's okay.
After initially supporting it, that's all. I think we should set the record straight on that.
There's no question that that's the case. Yeah. But she killed that bridge. That $230 million bridge to an island with 50 people, one of the great taxpayer ripoffs of all time. And the American people have Governor Palin to thanks for killing it.
If I could say, Katie, Alaska's in turmoil politically. This has caught up with the people of Alaska. They've got a lot of political problems on their hands, and America is caught up with the Congress, and people are frustrated. They're ready to do something different, and Senator Obama hasn't done a whole lot different since I've been around him.
Let me just ask you guys, you mentioned, Steve, all the allegations, and some are scurrilous, some, though, question her readiness, and some of the things that she has done politically, which seem to me to be fair game.
Sure.
I mean, aren't those legitimate criticisms, and don't they call into question the vetting process, which obviously you were a very important part of? But some people wonder, why are these things coming out in a kind of a drip, drip, drip fashion?
Well, let's talk about what's coming out. The fact that her husband had a DWI 24 years ago when he was 22 years old. Senator McCain thinks that's nonsense. That's not a disqualifier for a vice president of the United States. We knew that her daughter was going to have a child, and Senator McCain offered his love and support for their family. That doesn't disqualify this exceptional leader, and the American people, I think, will angrily reject it. Today, Katie, I've been asked questions that are outrageous by the national media. I've been asked questions when her amniotic fluid started to leak with regard to her last birth. I was asked whether we would make the genetic test available because she had a Down syndrome child. members of his campaign went to off-the-record lunches with reporters today, and they were asked if she would do paternity tests to prove paternity for her last child. Smear after smear after smear, and it's disgraceful and it's wrong, and the American people are going to reject it overwhelmingly when they see her tomorrow
Let me
night.
ask you, though, both of you, a couple of questions that I hope you'll deem legitimate. Sure. And that is that she raised sales taxes as mayor, which seems to be against John McCain's philosophy, and that she personally lobbied for some very sizable earmarks. You addressed that briefly.
Sure.
But, you know, she hired someone when she was mayor of Wasilla to get a lot of money for her town. I think $27 million, the Washington Post reported. So how does that square with John McCain's philosophy and sort of persona as this maverick reformer?
You know, Senator Obama's attacked that experience that she was a mayor, degraded it. She's a governor today. But when she was a mayor, she fought for her city. And she did everything she could to make that city a better place. And there are stories in the paper about how much that city grew and developed during her tenure as mayor. She was an effective leader, served on the PTA, and she became the governor. She's going to join John McCain in vetoing every earmark project that comes in a spending bill and stop this outrageous spending in Washington, D.C. She raised sales taxes because that was the right thing to do for that town that time. It shows that she doesn't adhere to a dogmatic principle. We have to have taxes in the country. Here's the difference. Senator Obama wants to raise everybody's federal taxes. Governor Palin, Senator McCain going to cut them.
All right, Steve Schmidt,
You bet.
Senator Lindsey Graham. Hopefully we can
much.
continue this discussion another time.
I enjoyed listening.
Yeah, come back when you get more in. Thank you,
I
Senator. Our coverage of the Republican National Convention will continue from St. Paul, Minnesota, right after this. I didn't get a chance to...
Well, it might surprise a lot of people that ExxonMobil would be interested in lithium-ion battery technology applied to hybrid electric vehicles. Our new battery separator film is a true breakthrough that's going to enable the deployment of more hybrid vehicles faster. This means a tremendous reduction in greenhouse gases, the equivalent of removing millions of cars from the road. I think this is the most important project that I've worked on in my career.
Back to school. Here we go again. In addition to my job, I'm back to being a drill sergeant, a chauffeur, a personal shopper, a...
Back to school stress can weaken your body's defenses. So drink Dan Active. Only Dan Active has L-casein immunitas cultures and is clinically proven to help strengthen your body's defenses.
So I can do the job I like best, be a mom.
Get ready for back to school now.
In order for things to work, it doesn't mean it has to have an uncomfortable feeling.
Crest Pro Health kills 99% of germs that can cause gingivitis, plaque, and bad breath without the burn of alcohol.
It really feels like it's working without the burning.
Crest Pro Health Rinse.
Ever notice how beautiful your hair color looks in sunlight? Well, check out Nice and Easy with up to 40% more dimension. It's designed to bring out all the highlights and lowlights in your color, just like on a brilliant sunny day. Nice and Easy from Clairol.
Great soup, Jen. What's your secret?
An incredibly high degree of culinary intuition plus years of experience.
You mean Swanson broth?
Yeah.
Made with all-natural chicken stock and flavored with garden vegetables and herbs, the secret to great-tasting homemade soups is Swanson broth.
For pain across your whole back, Icy Hot has it covered.
Icy Hot Extra Large Patch starts icy to dull the pain, then hot to relax it away for up to 8 hours of relief across your whole back.
Icy Hot has it covered.
Icy Hot XL. XL relief for XL pain.
Back now from the Republican National Convention, the delegates are hearing from former Senator Fred Thompson of Tennessee, a close friend of John McCain and a former presidential candidate himself this year. Thompson gave a strong endorsement to McCain's running mate.
What a breath of fresh air Governor Sarah Palin is. She's from a small town with small town values. But apparently, that's not good enough for some of the folks who are out there now attacking her and her family. Some Some Washington pundits and media big shots are in a frenzy over the selection of a woman who is actually governed rather than just talk the good game on the Sunday talk shows and hit the Washington cocktail circuit. I say, give me a tough Alaskan governor who has taken on the political establishment in the largest state of the union and won over the Beltway business as usual crowd any day of the week. But it's pretty clear the selection of Governor Palin has got the other side and their friends in the media in a state of panic. And no wonder. She's a courageous, successful reformer who's not afraid to take on the establishment. Sound like anybody else we know? She's run a municipality and she's run a state. And I think I can say without fear of contradiction, she's the only nominee in the history of either party who knows how to properly field dress a moose. With the possible exception of Teddy Roosevelt. Okay. When she and John McCain get to Washington, they're not going to care how much the alligators get irritated. They're going to drain that swamp.
Here in the Twin Cities, our twin political experts are Bob Schieffer, Chief Washington Correspondent and anchor of Face the Nation, now covering his 21st convention, and Jeff Greenfield, our Senior Political Correspondent. We just have been listening to Fred Thompson talk about Sarah Palin, I think very effectively, for her toughness, her tough-mindedness, saying that she could field dress a moose, and that, you know, that she will put business as usual, or the Beltway business as usual behind her. I mean, is there a realness here that you think might resonate throughout the country?
I think what you're seeing here, Katie, is last night Senator McCain said we have to take off our Republican hats and put on our American hats. I'm not saying anybody here took off their American hat tonight, but they sure put their Republican hats back on. We're back to a political convention in the traditional sense, and Fred Thompson's been assigned to sort of lay out the red meat for the troops, and as you heard, they're ready for it.
What do you think about his tone and his rhetoric, Jeff?
You have to have at a convention a time when the delegates remind themselves that they are, in fact, members of a political party and the other party's no good. We did get some. Thompson said that Obama's the most liberal, least experienced candidate ever, and you'll notice how much he laced into the media, just as Steve Schmidt did a few moments ago. I mean, if they want to defend Sarah Palin, one of the ways they want to do it for their constituents is say, whatever they're telling you, remember who they are. They're big shot media pundits who eat cheese and drink Chablis and eat tofu. I mean, that's been a Republican mantra for 20 years. And I think also, the Democrats are at peril if they don't understand that this reformer, this blue-collar woman, this Norma Ray on the right, has a potential appeal to the broad middle of the country that may care less about her resume than the fact that she may turn out to be an appealing woman. So they got to watch it.
But I tell you, part of her resume is that she is anti-abortion rights. And they're going after the women's vote. They're going after the Hillary Clinton voters. And I think most of those Hillary Clinton people would be pro-choice. That would just be my guess. I haven't done a survey.
I think they're looking for Hillary Clinton supporters on the edges who may not have abortion rights as their number one issue, but do feel slighted by her loss.
And they are going after Republican corruption at this convention. That's quite extraordinary. That's a theme you're going to hear a lot of. Very unusual for a Republican convention, Katie.
All right. Well, our coverage of this Republican convention continues from the Twin Cities right after this.
So, Jillian, you had occasional irregularity. I know that you were just living with.
That was my normal. I thought that was normal.
What changed?
I saw Activia in my mom's fridge, and I took out this little green container, tried it for a couple weeks, and it's liberating.
Activia is clinically proven to help regulate your digestive system in 2 weeks when eaten every day.
So, Jillian, do you still think occasional irregularity is normal?
Maybe, but I like my new normal.
Activia!
Introducing an Applebee's neighborhood value. Endless favorites. Endless riblets, chicken fingers, or panko-crusted shrimp. Your choice, all you can eat, starting at $9.99. Endless favorites starting at $9.99, only at Applebee's. It's a whole new neighborhood.
Time is a thief. As you age, it may even silently steal your bone strength. 1 out of 2 women over 50 will suffer an osteoporosis-related fracture in her lifetime. Prescription Actonel is proven to not only help prevent bone loss, but can also help increase bone strength to help protect you from fracture. And now with this rebate, Actonel is up to $20 off. You should not take Actonel if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or cannot sit or stand for 30 minutes. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Actonel and tell your doctor if you experience difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems. If you experience bone, joint, or muscle pain, which may be severe, promptly contact your doctor. To get up to $20 back on Actonel, call 1-877-ACTONEL or visit actonel.com. Ask your doctor about how Actonel can help you prevent and treat postmenopausal osteoporosis. Actonel, help protect what's yours.
Tim Pawlenty is the governor of Minnesota, the host state for this Republican convention, and for a time it looked like he might be here under other circumstances, perhaps even as the vice presidential nominee. It didn't work out that way, but we're very happy to have him with us as governor of the state of Minnesota. Thank you for your hospitality. I understand you were just interviewed by Comic the Insult Dog.
How can you beat that?
Well, hopefully I'm going to try.
I tried to have him keep it clean, Katie, but it was on the edge.
Was it on the edge? Well,
yeah.
I'm sure you handled it well. How disappointed were you? I mean, there was so much speculation that you were the guy when you kept waiting by the phone and the call never came. Was that hard?
You know, I'm grateful for what I have, not disappointed about what I don't have. I'm very blessed. I'm honored to support Senator McCain. I think he's a great leader. He's a friend. I didn't get into this just because I had some designs on something else. I'm happy with what I have. And so I wasn't disappointed. I'm not angry, upset, any of that. I'm grateful for what I have.
You know, I know you're an evangelical Christian. To what extent do you think Sarah Palin, the choice of Sarah Palin, has energized the Republican base?
Well, I think she, on a whole range of issues, has energized the Republican base, and you can see that in terms of increased donations and energy and enthusiasm. So I think she's hit a home run with the Republican base.
But she is against abortion, even in the case of rape or incest. She wants creationism taught in schools. Do you worry that her selection might be a turnoff to some wavering Democrats and independents who might consider supporting John McCain?
Well, I think your question from before the break was the right one, which is, if you're voting only on the abortion issue from a pro-abortion or pro-choice standpoint, you probably weren't voting for John McCain to begin with. But from a whole range of other perspectives on other issues, I think women, in terms who are worried about breaking through that glass ceiling, are going to look at her life story and relate to her life story in ways that go beyond just the abortion issue.
And do you think her story will trump experience?
I think her story is in part experience. She's got more experience, as you know, than Barack Obama, so I don't think that's going to be a strong argument.
Well, that's according to Republican talking points. I think the Democrats would disagree with that.
Katie,
but
I think those are also facts. She's a governor of a state. She's been a mayor. In terms of executive experience, it's just a matter of fact that she has more than Senator Obama.
All right. Well, Governor Tim Pawlenty,
good to see you,
thanks
Katie.
so much for
You're
coming
welcome.
by. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you.
And we'll be back from St. Paul in a moment.
Breaking up. NCIS season premiere Tuesday, September 23rd.
A fiery crash brings rush hour traffic to a standstill. A driver going the wrong way slams into cars, leaving at least one person dead.
The secret life of Marilyn Monroe, locked away for decades. New documents expose the American icon's reckless, darker side.
Also, it promises to be sleeker, faster, and more secure. Google debuts its shiny new web browser, Chrome. Jackie.
And clear skies across the south end. Should we expect more of the same for the rest of the week? Your forecast tonight at 11.
I joined Jenny Craig to become a size healthier, and I've already lost 20 pounds. Now my friends and family have joined to support me, like my Aunt Angel. We love to catch up over a Jenny meal. I'm a mac and cheese girl, but she swears by the chicken carbonara. The food is so good, it's helped her lose over 30 pounds. She's on her way to becoming a size feeling good.
Lose 20 pounds for $20, plus the cost of food. Call 1-800-JENNY20 today.
Take the first step to your ideal size. Call Jenny.
So with Fios, I get the best picture quality, the fastest internet, HBO and Cinemax free for 30 days, and a DVR free for a year.
Yes, 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 and yes.
Nice. What about you?
We've got stuff also that's good.
Cable just can't compare to Fios. When Verizon brings fiber optics straight to your home, you get razor-sharp TV picture, the fastest internet, and crystal-clear phone service, all for one amazing low price. Call 1-888-818-FIOS now and get a multi-room DVR that you can't get with cable free for a year. Plus HBO and Cinemax free for 30 days. With Fios, you get the best HD experience, best HD sports, plus over 10,000 titles on demand per month. And Fios Internet gives you ridiculously fast speeds. Get the only TV, internet, and phone package that comes with a multi-room DVR free for a year, plus HBO and Cinemax free for 30 days. This offer will be gone before you know it. Call 1-888-818-FIOS today. This is Fios. This is big.
For complete campaign coverage, stay with CBS 2 News.
Back now from this grand old party in St. Paul, Minnesota, as we await Senator Joe Lieberman. Our national correspondent Byron Pitts is out mingling with the delegates. Hi, Byron.
Hey, Katie, we have two delegates here from two key swing states. We have Kendall Unruh from Castle Rock, Colorado, and Al Cardenas from Miami, Florida. Kendall, let's start with you. You said you're energized now because Governor Payne is on the ticket. Tell me about that.
Not only am I energized, but the entire values voters are energized. The base, the conservative base that McCain needed to solidify is now solidly in his camp to go out and work for him. He's going to get those Reagan Democrats who are swing voters. He certainly is solidified the gender voters. So.
All right, Al, how will she play? Thank you, man. How will she play in South Florida?
I think great. Let's give her a chance tomorrow to speak to the nation and let her know what we know about her.
You don't sound as enthusiastic as Kendall.
Oh, I am. I think bringing a young couple to the White House who will energize millions of Americans in her generation is a wonderful thing for our party.
All right, thank you both. Katie, back to you.
All right, Byron, thank you. And still ahead, something we have not seen before, a former vice presidential nominee of the Democratic Party addressing the Republican convention. Senator Joe Lieberman is next.
For pain across your whole back, Icy Hot has it covered.
Icy Hot Extra Large Patch starts icy to dull the pain, then hot to relax it away for up to 8 hours of relief across your whole back.
Icy Hot has it covered.
Icy Hot XL. XL relief for XL pain.
Great soup, Jen. What's your secret?
An incredibly high degree of culinary intuition plus years of experience.
You mean Swanson broth?
Yeah.
Made with all-natural chicken stock and flavored with garden vegetables and herbs, the secret to great-tasting homemade soups is Swanson broth.
Well, it might surprise a lot of people that ExxonMobil would be interested in lithium-ion battery technology applied to hybrid electric vehicles. Our new battery separator film is a true breakthrough that's going to enable the deployment of more hybrid vehicles faster. This means a tremendous reduction in greenhouse gases, the equivalent of removing millions of cars from the road. I think this is the most important project that I've worked on in my career.
Now about to address this Republican convention is a former Democratic vice presidential candidate, Joe Lieberman of Connecticut. Senator Lieberman was reelected as an independent, and then he endorsed Republican John McCain, his close friend for president. In fact, Lindsey Graham, Joe Lieberman, and John McCain are often called the Three Amigos. As he walks on stage, Jeff Greenfield, you were his law school classmate at Yale?
I was indeed some years ago, and to show you how long a political career he's had, Katie, his nickname in law school was Senator.
Let's listen to Senator Joe Lieberman.
Thank
his
you
wife.
very much. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you so very much for that warm welcome. You'd have to be me to know how much I appreciate it. I'm really honored to be here tonight. Dear friends, as you well know, we meet tonight in the wake of a terrible storm that's hit the Gulf Coast, but that really hurts all of us, no matter where we live, because we are all members of our larger American family, right? At times like this, we set aside all that divides us, and we come together to help our fellow Americans in need. The last thing we think about is whether one of the victims was a Democrat or a Republican, because we're all Americans. You know, the sad truth is that it shouldn't take a hurricane to bring us together like this. Every day across our country, millions of our fellow citizens are facing very big and real problems. They're worried about their homes and their jobs, their businesses. They're worried about the outrageous cost of gasoline and health insurance, and they are worried about the threats from our enemies abroad. But when they look to Washington, all too often, they don't see their leaders coming together to tackle these problems. Instead, they see Democrats and Republicans fighting each other rather than fighting for the American people. I don't have to tell you that we were blessed in this country to have a great generation of founders, and they foresaw the danger of this kind of senseless partisanship. In fact, our first president, George Washington, in his farewell address warned that the spirit of party could be the worst enemy of our democracy and enfeeble our government's ability to do its job. My friends, I think tonight we can say that President Washington was absolutely right. The truth is, today we are living through his worst nightmare in the capital city that bears his name. And that brings me directly to why I'm here tonight. What, after all, is a Democrat like me doing at a Republican convention like this? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm here to support John McCain because country matters more than party. I am here tonight for a simple reason. John McCain is the best choice to bring our country together and lead America forward. And dear friends, I am here tonight because John McCain's whole life testifies to a great truth. Being a Democrat or a Republican is important, but it is nowhere near as important as being an American. I think you know that both of the presidential candidates this year have talked about changing the culture of Washington. about breaking through the partisan gridlock and the special interests that are poisoning our politics. But my friends, only one of them has actually done it. Only one of them has shown the courage and the capability to rise above the smallness of our politics to get big things done for our country and our people, and that one is John S. McCain. You know John, and you know that he understands that it shouldn't take a natural disaster like a hurricane to get us to take off our partisan blinders and work together to get things done. It shouldn't take a natural disaster to teach us that the American people really don't care much if you have an R or a D after your name. What they care about is, are we solving the problems that they're against every day? Let me tell you, what you can expect from John McCain as president is precisely what he's done this week. Put our country first. That's not a political posture by John. That's the code by which he has lived his entire life, and that is the code that he will carry with him into the White House next January. Now, let me tell you that I've had the privilege of serving with John for almost 20 years and the honor of becoming a dear friend of his. I have personally seen him over and over again bringing people together from both parties to tackle our toughest problems. For example, to reform our campaign finance laws, our lobbying and ethics laws, to create the independent 9/11 Commission after that great natural disaster, that great unnatural disaster caused by the terrorists, and then to work to pass the national security reforms that have made every American safer since then. And then he worked together to end the partisan paralysis over nominations to the Supreme Court and other federal courts. This is the record. Now, let me share something with you that I'm in a unique position to do as a Democrat. My Democratic friends know all about John's record of independence and accomplishment. And you see, that's why I think some of them are spending so much time and so much money trying to convince the American people that John McCain is someone else. I am here to tell you what I think you know, but I want to speak to the people out there. Don't be fooled by some of these political statements and advertisements. Trust me, God only made one John McCain, and he is his own man. Let me, as John would say, give you some straight talk here. If John McCain was just another go-along partisan politician, he never would have taken on corrupt Republican lobbyists or big corporations that were cheating the American people or powerful colleagues in Congress who were wasting taxpayer money. But he did. If John McCain was another go-along partisan politician, he never would have led the fight to fix our broken immigration system or actually do something about global warming, but he did. As a matter of fact, friends, if John McCain is just another partisan Republican, then I'm Michael Moore's favorite Democrat. And I'm not. And I think you know that I'm not. Senator Barack Obama is a gifted and eloquent young man who I think can do great things for our country in the years ahead. But my friends, eloquence is no substitute for a record, not in these tough times for America. In the Senate, during the 3.5 years that Senator Obama has been a member, he has not reached across party lines to accomplish anything significant, nor has he been willing to take on powerful interest groups in the Democratic Party to get something done. And I just ask you to contrast that with John McCain's record of independence and bipartisanship. But let me go one further. And this may make history here at this Republican convention. Let me contrast Barack Obama's record to the record of the last Democratic president, Bill Clinton, who stood up to some of those same Democratic interest groups, worked with Republicans, and got some important things done like welfare reform, free trade agreements, and a balanced budget. Now, I'm honored to say just a word about the great lady that John McCain has selected as his running mate. Governor Palin, like John McCain, is a reformer. She's taken on the special interest and the political power brokers in Alaska and reached across party lines to get things done. The truth is, she is a leader we can count on to help John shake up Washington. That's why I sincerely believe that the real ticket for change this year is the McCain-Palin ticket. Let me tell you, friends, that the Washington bureaucrats and the power brokers are not going to be able to build a pen that will hold in these two mavericks. It's just not possible. Together, I think we can count on John and Sarah to fight for America and to fight for you, the American people. And that's what our country needs most right now. We all know it. These are tough times here at home, and we have dangerous enemies in the world. And what America needs now, frankly, is not more party unity. What we need now is more national unity. And this is especially true, of course, because we are a nation at war. We need a president we can count on to fight for what's right for our country, not only when it's easy, but when it's hard. And I was there, so I can tell you, when others were silent about the war in Iraq, John McCain had the guts and the judgment to sound the alarm about the mistakes we were making in Iraq. You know, when others wanted to retreat in defeat from the field of battle, which would have been a disaster for the USA, when colleagues like Barack Obama were voting to cut off funding for our American troops on the battlefield,
John McCain had the courage to stand against the tide of public opinion, advocate the surge, support the surge, and because of that today, America's troops are coming home, thousands of them, and they're coming home in honor. My friends, I have had the privilege, and I'd say the pleasure, of traveling the world with John McCain. Even with Lindsey Graham, it was a pleasure. But I speak of John, and I say that I can tell you from these travels how much he's respected and admired and liked by leaders across the globe. John McCain will be a president our allies will trust and our enemies will fear. And that's the kind of president we need in today's world. Country first. My friends, before I conclude, I want to ask the indulgence of all of you here in this hall tonight, because I want to speak directly to my fellow Democrats and independents who are watching or listening tonight. I want to speak directly to you out there. I know many of you are angry and frustrated by our government and our politics today, and for good reason. You may be thinking of voting for John McCain, but you're not sure yet. Some of you may never have voted for a Republican before. And frankly, in an ordinary election, you probably never would. But I want you to believe with me that this is no ordinary election. And it's no ordinary election because these are not ordinary times. And trust me, John McCain is no ordinary candidate. You may not agree with John McCain on every issue, but you can always count on him to be straight with you about where he stands and to stand for what he thinks is right for our country, regardless of the politics. I can tell you with a certain faith that as president, you can count on John McCain to be what he is naturally, a restless reformer who will clean up Washington and get our government working again for all of the American people. So tonight, I want to ask you whether you are an independent, a Reagan Democrat, a Clinton Democrat, or just a plain old Democrat. This year, when you vote for president, vote for the person you believe is best for our country, not for the party you happen to belong to. I ask those of you who are watching or listening, vote for the leader who since the age of 17, when he first raised his hand and took an oath to defend and protect our Constitution, has always put America first. My friends, I appeal to independents, Democrats, and Republicans. Let's come together this November to make a great American patriot, John McCain, our next great president.
Senator Joe Lieberman, former Democratic VP nominee turned independent turned John McCain supporter. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, I'm stunned. A Republican convention hears attacks on corrupt Republicans, corporations that cheat the people, and words of praise for Bill Clinton.
The world's gone mad.
Talk about praising Satan at the Vatican. I never thought.